Hello, everybody. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset, where I'll be reading just a few pages of Think and Grow Rich, and then invite those in the room to join me for a discussion about what was read. Today, we'll be reading pages 155 to 158. Let's get started, shall we? Before the first meeting of the new Congress, another leader in a different section of the country was deep in the throes of publishing a summary of the rights of British America. He was Thomas Jefferson of the province of Virginia, whose relationship to Lord Dunmore, representative of the Crown in Virginia, was as strained as that of Hancock and Adams with their governor. Shortly after his famous Summary of Rights was published, Jefferson was informed that he was subject to prosecution for high treason against His Majesty's government. Inspired by the threat, one of Jefferson's colleagues, Patrick Henry, boldly spoke his mind, concluding his remarks with a sentence which shall remain forever a classic. "If this be treason, then make the most of it." It was such men as these who, without power, without authority, without military strength, without money, sat in solemn consideration of the destiny of the colonies, beginning at the opening of the First Continental Congress and continuing at intervals for 2 years, until on June 7th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee arose, addressed the chair, and to the startled assembly made this motion. Gentlemen, I make the motion that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they be absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. Lee's astounding motion was discussed fervently and at such length that he began to lose patience. Finally, after days of argument, he again took the floor and declared in a clear, loud voice, "Mr. President, we have discussed this issue for days. It is the only course for us to follow. Why then, sir, do we longer delay? Why still deliberate? Let this happy day give birth to an American republic. Let her arise, not to devastate and to conquer, but to reestablish the reign of peace and of law. The eyes of Europe are fixed upon us. She demands of us a living example of freedom that may exhibit a contrast in the felicity of the citizen to the ever-increasing tyranny." Before his motion was finally voted upon, Lee was called back to Virginia because of serious family illness. But before leaving, he placed his cause in the hands of his friend Thomas Jefferson, who promised to fight until favorable action was taken. Shortly thereafter, the president of the Congress, Hancock, appointed Jefferson as chairman of a committee to draw up a Declaration of Independence. Long and hard the committee labored on a document which would mean, when accepted by the Congress, that every man who signed it would be signing his own death warrant, should the colonies lose in the fight with Great Britain, which was sure to follow. The document was drawn, and on June 28, the original draft was read before the Congress. For several days it was discussed, altered, and made ready. On July 4th, 1776, Thomas Jefferson stood before the assembly and fearlessly read the most momentous decision ever placed upon paper. When in the course of human events it is necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. When Jefferson finished, the document was voted upon, accepted, and signed by the 56 men, every one staking his own life upon his decision to write his name. By that decision came into existence a nation destined to bring to mankind forever the privilege of making decisions. By decisions made in a similar spirit of faith, and only by such decisions, can men solve their personal problems and win for themselves high estates of material and spiritual wealth. Let us not forget this. Analyze the events which led to the Declaration of Independence and be convinced that this nation, which now holds a position of commanding respect and power among all nations of the world, was born of a decision created by a mastermind consisting of 56 men. Note well the fact that it was their decision which ensured the success of Washington's armies, because the spirit of that decision was in the heart of every soldier who fought with him and served as a spiritual power which recognizes no such thing as failure. Note also, with great personal benefit, that the power which gave this nation its freedom is the selfsame power that must be used by every individual who becomes self-determining. This power is made up of the principles described in this book. It will not be difficult to detect in the story of the Declaration of Independence at least 6 of these principles: desire, decision, faith, persistence, the mastermind, organized planning. Throughout this philosophy will be found the suggestion that thought backed by strong desire has a tendency to transmute itself into its physical equivalent. Before passing on, I wish to leave with you the suggestion that one may find in this story and in the story of the Organization of the United States Steel Corporation a perfect description of the method by which thought makes this astounding transformation. In your search for the secret of the method, do not look for a miracle, because you will not find it. You will find only the eternal laws of nature. These laws are available to every person who has the faith and the courage to use them. They may be used to bring freedom to a nation or to accumulate riches. There is no charge save the time necessary to understand and appropriate them. Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want and generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That is the major reason why they are leaders. The world has a habit of making room for the man whose words and actions show that he knows where he is going. Indecision is a habit which usually begins in youth. The habit takes on permanency as the youth goes through graded school, high school, and even through college, without definiteness of purpose. The major weakness of all educational systems is that they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decision. It would be beneficial if no college would permit the enrollment of any student unless and until the student declared his major purpose in matriculating. It would be of still greater benefit if every student who enters the graded schools were compelled to accept training in the habit of decision and forced to pass a satisfactory examination on this subject before being permitted to advance in the grades. The habit of indecision, acquired because of the deficiencies of our school systems, goes with the student into the occupation he chooses, if, in fact, he chooses his occupation. Generally, the youth just out of school seeks any job that can be found. He takes the first place he finds because he has fallen into the habit of indecision. 98 out of every 100 people working for wages today are in the positions they hold because they lack the definiteness of decision to plan a definite position and the knowledge of how to choose an employer. Definiteness of decision always requires courage, sometimes very great courage. The 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence staked their lives on the decision to affix their signatures to that document. The person who reaches a definite decision to procure the particular job, make life pay the price he asks, does not stake his life on that decision. He stakes his economic freedom. Financial independence, riches, desirable business and professional positions are not within reach of the person who neglects or refuses to expect, plan, and demand these things. The person who desires riches in the same spirit that Samuel Adams desired freedom for the colonies is sure to accumulate wealth. In the chapter on organized planning, you will find complete instructions for marketing every type of personal services. You will find also detailed information on how to choose the employer you prefer and the particular job you desire. These instructions will be of no value to you unless you definitely decide to organize them into a plan of action. And that concludes the reading and the chapter. And that concludes chapter 8, entitled Decision. Well, my goodness, welcome everybody. We had a few more of you join us. We have Chuck, good to see you here. Mats, welcome. Eric, good to see you as well. Oh, so we went through the history of the beginning of the Declaration of Independence. We aren't at war yet in America, but we know it's going to happen. And the review of what happens when you get a group of people that are meeting for the same purpose or are like-minded, the mastermind. And then what happens when you put organized planning to it. What I really, really like is, and I'm at the PDF at the moment, and it says definiteness of decision. While the definite decision that I have made for my business and myself, as we all know, I have my definite purpose that I've read this morning already to myself, read it aloud. It isn't life and death, but what I am staking on it is my economic freedom. That's what I'm staking on, that major definite purpose for me. The room's open. Anybody wants to jump in? Good morning, Sean. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. Yeah, I know, Hill's interpretation. Yep. Hey, Mike. Oh, so good to see you, Mike, man. Good to have you with us. It's always interesting to have somebody's view. His interpretation, of course, is based on what he was seeing at the time. How close was he to that the changes in our country? A little over 100 years, right? I would say the history is relatively fresh. But the viewpoint from what does it take to succeed? What does it take to think and grow rich? Yes, it was closer than me and you. That's correct, Brian. Welcome, Hannity. Good to see you here. So the interpretation was pretty darn good. I think when you're looking through the eyes of desire, decision, faith, persistence, the mastermind, and organized planning, which were all pointed out in that instance of bringing people together to have power, to make a change, to do something, to accomplish something. And how we can take that particular story, just as we could with the Steel Corporation, and we could see the successes of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business people, whether they call themselves business people or not, who had these principles, put them in place, however they had attained them. They used those principles, and that's what helped them to gain wealth and to grow. I also like the other thing it pointed out to me, and I see this a lot, something that's been always something that's noticeable to me. When somebody, be it man or woman, has a definite path that they're on, and they can explain the vision of where they want to end up, they become a leader. People start to follow. They're attracted to the vision, or they're attracted to the decisiveness of the person who has the vision. Sometimes I've seen where people aren't really into the final vision, but they're really attracted to the person who came up with it. And it's because there's security and safety, is there not? When I'm surrounded by people, or I am in front of somebody, or I am talking with somebody, I know where they stand. They aren't wishy-washy. This is who they are. This is where they're headed. This is how they make decisions. Boom, boom, boom. Now I know. And there isn't that indecisiveness of what are we going to do next? What are you going to do next? Always surprising, keeping people on their toes. It's much more attractive to see somebody who is solid. I guess that's the way I've always seen them. They're solid. Yes, they have a lot of other things in their life. They're very active in a lot of other ways, but there's a reason, and it aligns with who they are. And when they make decisions, especially related to business, it's easier to follow because you can trust them. That's my view. Love to hear what anybody else has to say. Remember, it's a discussion. So the seat's open. Somebody wants to jump in and talk about what we just read. Good morning, Christoph. Thank you for joining us. So definiteness of decision. The other thing that's interesting that I read here is that financial independence, riches, desirable business professional positions are not within reach of the person who neglects or refuses to expect, plan, and demand these things. So the person that does expect, plan, and demand will achieve. I mean, it sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Good morning, Damien. Glad you could join us this morning. Good to see you here. Sounds simple, but simple doesn't equate to easy. It's the getting clear in the mind of what to expect, getting clear in the mind of what the plan is. And what's interesting is in my major definite purpose that I wrote out and that I read on a regular basis, morning and evening, is I have the date of how much I will have in hand in terms of dollar amount. And part of it is that while I believe very strongly that this is going to happen, I can touch it in my hands, I can feel it, I know it's going to happen. My imagination is lit up with making it is here kind of feeling to it. I'm waiting, the last line is, I'm awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it is received. And it's starting to change because the plan is in hand. So while I've said this and read this for quite a few months, morning and evening, the plan has been falling into place. And so that's, now that there's a plan, so now I can have my expectations, feel solid in those expectations, have plan in place, and now I can demand that these things happen. Oh, Chuck. Oh, yeah. I like that one too. Do not look for a miracle because you won't find it. And I wonder, the first thing that came to mind was the sitting back and waiting for something to happen, right? Sounds like a great plan with you being consistent every week, Charlene. Thank you. Yeah, and we got a baboom from Chuck. It's good when there's a baboom, right? So, good morning, Ms. Boomy. Good to see you. So, definiteness of decision. I got to tell you that when I started the change in my business, actually, when I started my business back in June of 2008, I knew what I wanted to do. There was a plan in place. I had faith. I didn't have faith. I did not have faith, but I had the desire. And I had the persistence, and I had the willingness to learn new skills. And in my case, it was personal skills, communication skills, the ability to speak with others more than 2 words. little my challenges, I recognized, and I sought assistance and learned and got trained in new skills. There were a few things missing, but at the very beginning, I had quite a bit of this. And good or bad, when I look back, so the economic crisis hit, our recession came on board. My target market was heavily involved in the financial industry. So, of course, the phone stopped ringing, and I had to make a decision to make a change in my business, and I changed the focus. I changed the focus of the business to accommodate what customers were asking for at the time, and that happened in 2009. It was pretty quick. I think within a matter of weeks, I changed the name of the company to better define what we were about and what we offered, and then and then I began changing the marketing efforts and the conversation and what have you. So it was relatively quick. And I've been slow to change it because I'm not sure where it was going to go. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So, it was a matter of I wanted to follow what I had in my desire, right? I had the desire to slowly change the focus of the company. I wanted to change it back to what it was originally, but I wanted to add a component that wasn't there before. And I don't know that it was, it brewed. How's that? It brewed for a while. What is that component? How does this look? What does this mean? How does this happen? And so for quite a few years, it was just kind of brewing back there and marinating, if you will. And then made the decision in I think it was June, could have been July of 2014, about Grow Because You Know. And then in November of 2014, I was presented with products that I could sell that aligned with Grow Because You Know. And from there, everything else started falling into place. The plan started showing itself, right? My whole goal in life is to have a positive impact on somebody else at any given moment that I'm in front of them. That's the big one. Whether they think it's positive or not. That's about the best you're going to get out of me, buddy. I mean, that's a big question, Damien. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal in life. So good morning, Angela. Glad you're here. Kendra, welcome. Mary Lou, welcome. We were reading a few pages out of Think and Grow Rich, and it's the final pages of Chapter 8 about decisions. Good morning, Henry. And review of an instance, if you will, in history, the beginnings of the United States of America, where 56 men gathered and reviewed Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, and a lot of talk and discussion happened, but a decision had to be made. It was time. Enough. We have the decision. So Thomas Jefferson came up with the Declaration of Independence, our whole purpose of being here, the reason why we've gathered. And even though they had and were facing treason, and if they lost the war, were going to be hanged, 56 men signed their name to that Declaration of Independence. And the idea is that power to have things happen came from the principles of desire, decision, faith, persistence, mastermind, and organized planning, all outlined in that instance that was described about the coming to the decision and putting it on paper, the Declaration of Independence, and how we can apply that to ourselves on a personal level. I can look back even further than almost 8 years when I started my business, the 20 years, roughly, of indecisiveness, of taking jobs because we needed the money, of not knowing for certain what I really wanted to do, of knowing for certain what I really not wanted to do and had the desire, but the inability to articulate it clearly enough to be able to find the path needed to accomplish the desire. When Napoleon Hill describes the education system, I definitely fall into that for a variety of reasons. Could analyze it all day long. I actually don't need to. I could tell you, but I'm not going to. The point is that I graduated and, oh, geez, I got to find a job, whatever job. I don't care what job. Doesn't matter. I just need money. Just need money. And it was because during the education process, I didn't feel confident. I didn't have faith. How's that? I didn't have faith based on these principles. I did not have faith in the abilities that I had, so I didn't pursue those. And yeah, I could have. Would have been interesting for me to be a concert pianist and a world-renowned author. That's where I was in those years. But I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't have the faith that it was possible, because I didn't believe those who were around me that were telling me it was possible. Again, I understand that today. And that's all right. I made peace with that. But it's recognition. And I think that's what's really cool is when I can say, and any of you can say to yourself, based on what we're reading here, where was I at a particular time in life when I didn't have these principles available to me? When I was, and it could be now, when this is who I am now. I want to be where Napoleon Hill is saying we have the desire, we have the faith, we have the persistence, we can put these in place. And I can compare. And I can tell you now that the comparison is pretty darn cool. It's a different way for me to feel more confident on the road that I've chosen to take. So I want to welcome Janice and Sonia. Sam, it's good to see you. And Nor, so glad you're here. Henry, welcome. Glad everybody is here. I guess, thank you, Chuck. I was about to say, you know what? Everybody wants to just listen to me. Okay, I will talk. Good morning, Chuck. I can't hear you. Not again. No, don't do this to us, Chuck. Yes, I know, Damien. It is amazing, isn't it? But people are people. And I think now, just taking the principles, I think that's why it's so relevant today. Secondary is that the economic situation we find ourselves in, that's what blows my mind, is how relevant it is. And while Chuck attempts to get himself heard, oh, Eric, thanks for sharing a bit of your story, that you grew in your faith and belief, took action, you were willing to iterate, to change with the economy, etc. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Eric. You're quite welcome. That's what ends up happening if you guys don't join me in the discussion. Honestly. Yeah, and poor Chuck is just going to sit there and just be the cheerleader from the side, right? Good morning, Francisco. Welcome. Poor Chuck. Where's Sean? Sean's really good at helping people to get things to work, He really is. He actually did that on a networking meeting. There's Sandra. Welcome. Mic volume. That could be it, mic volume, but that's okay. Corey, welcome. So I guess he's going to refresh. We'll see. Kevin, welcome. Now, I do have to tell everybody that it is Wednesday. And Wednesday means that at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I host a business networking meeting. It's virtual. And Sean, you're having your own tech issues. Well, okay. Okay, fair enough. And so what that means is that for me to get the room open for our presenter, who is pretty awesome today, she is really a neat lady, Alexia Brewer, I have to shut this down at the very, very latest at 5 till the hour. And that's so I can have the room open. So Wednesday is the only day that I will not keep the room open for further discussion. Well, that's an answer, Eric. You let Chuck know that. Good morning, Saul. Yeah, it's not a matter of if technology fails, but when it fails. You're right, Brian. Let's try Chuck again, see if we can't get him into the room. No. I know you got good stuff. Because you've been in the room before and you've shared before. Well, can you do it without the earbuds? I understand if you're at work and there's other people involved. Good morning, Jim. Glad you're here. So, again, one of the things that I really, really like about the book is that we're talking about principles that all of us can put into place. So I'd love to hear from the comment section, or if you want to join in the live stream, what you think about indecision versus decision, the times that you found yourself when you were indecisive. Is that where you felt the least successful? If you're feeling successful now, whatever road you've taken, be it personal or professional, Can you see where the definiteness of decision has affected your economic freedom? That's the one that really pops out at me, because I got to tell you, I feel much more confident in my financial future and my economic freedom today than I ever have before. And I will share this with you. I'm not going to share my checkbook with you, but I will share this with you, that we recently got hit hard financially. So it's digging out again. And yet I have full confidence that we will, and that I will attain the goals that I have in place. The desire is there, made the decision. I've got the persistence. I've got everything in place to this point. I've got my own mastermind, organized planning, and I know it's going to happen. But again, I need to caution that it isn't just faith. I'm not looking for a miracle. Not looking for that. Because there's an old saying, very old saying, it's great to have faith, but faith without works is dead, right? And the saying that I grew up with and know very well to be true is, it's the farmer going out and hoeing the field. You can hoe the field all you want. Actually, you can stand out there in the middle of the field all you want and ask for potatoes. You ain't going to get potatoes until you pick up the hoe and you do the footwork, which is pick up the hoe your rows cleanly, mound them correctly, plant the seeds in the right depth, water them, fertilize them, and then you're going to get the potatoes, right? So it's not faith that it will happen without your effort. It is faith that with your effort, things will happen. And that's very difficult for some people to grasp. When law of attraction first started coming out, and I was hearing people talk about law of attraction, I was hearing the disconnect. People were talking about, all I have to do to manifest something is to be strong in my belief. I'm like, you don't have that power, because if you do, then I'm going to get smacked on the forehead for not following you instead of Jesus Christ. That's me, right? And I'm hearing that disconnect. Now, here we have Chuck, who is exhibiting persistence, something he's consistent with. Yes, Damien, it is about putting the work in. So I think what's really important is that we connect some of these dots, right? The dots are, you have the faith, you have the desire, and you have the ability to be persistent. But what's the plan that you're going to work? There has to be a plan before something, the vision that you have or that real desire you have, happens. I think that's important. Sam, I think indecision is often your gut telling you to further think things. Not always. Oh, okay, so I can go with that, Sam, where sometimes my gut is telling me, it's kind of giving me warning signals. There might be a little red flag raised that says, this seems right. Everything seems to be right, but I'm not totally in a line there, right? I can see that. But the indecision that I experienced that I'm talking about in this case wasn't my gut. It was fear and lack of faith. I had a vision of what could be, but I honestly didn't believe that it was available to me. And I, like many others that I've learned over the years, that for me, it was related to emotional wounding, crippling, internal misfires, and what have you. So the willingness to be assisted and to be helped through those things makes a big difference as well. So there's a variety of reasons that we have indecision, but I think that what we can learn from Napoleon Hill in this reading is that when we have the desire, and we have the faith, and we have the persistence, and we have the skills, and we have the mastermind that can help us to make the decisions, to move forward. So it's beyond just my abilities to have those skills of desire, vision. It's bringing in the other people, right, to help me to move forward. Hannity, good to see you.
How are you?
I'm
Well,
good.
don't let me. I haven't slept all night. My kids kept me waking up all
Oh,
night, so
dear.
I'm
Kind of
on the
groggy,
floating
aren't ya?
side. I know. They're 2 and 4, so that's part of being mother.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk about decision making,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very interesting because you know what? I'm a very impulsive decision maker,
Okay.
and it always makes me. If I like something, I'm into it. I just boom go in and buy it. I think I'm one of the people who've had a call with a coach or like a program I really like. I just call them and say, can I buy it? I'll ask them if I can pay them so I can join them.
Okay.
So it's a very impulsive, emotional feeling thing that really controls my decision making.
Okay.
And it took me a while to just dig deep into it. And why do I'm an impulsive decision maker? Why do I just grasp to it and enjoy it? I really enjoy it. I got the buzz. I got the, my adrenaline keeps on rushing and I enjoy it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I realized because I'm limited in a lot of ways. Because of my chronic disease that I have, which I have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
So my decision is coming out of a place that I can control that. I can decide on that. So let me enjoy that decision that I'm making because I can control it. Because all my physical abilities. Okay. So I'm just sharing my story here, but it was the only thing that I had control over is my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And other things, I just wake up every morning, just waiting what's the day is going to bring me. I don't know what's tomorrow.
Right.
I have no control over my tomorrow. I only have control over my day. So I like to decide on what I'm doing today. And that's why I'm impulsive. I like to enjoy the moment.
Mm.
And that's why I found out why I'm an impulsive decision maker. I just want to share it with everybody.
Interesting. Pretty cool. Well, see, again, it's what works for us.
Mm.
My path I need is working better because I needed the structure. I needed the guidance on how to put that structure in place. I needed assurance that my own thoughts were on par and on track with making me the better me that I wanted to be. And by having that, the result is that I'm feeling more confident. And I feel confident today, but I began to feel more confident in my own thinking. I could trust my own thinking. I could begin to recognize when the thinking was appropriate and when it wasn't, when the emotions were appropriate, when they weren't. I had to learn how to do that. And I have to a point. There will always be something that happens that everything goes out the window, right? But what I'm grateful for is that I can take what I'm learning from Napoleon Hill and see the progress in myself, which once again reinforces that I'm on the right path. But I'm even more grateful that I have people like you jumping in here, sharing a little bit, others that have been sharing over the days that I've been doing this, that their own path, they're getting their own moments of clarity.
Journey.
Yes, their own journey. And they can recognize where changes have happened. We've had a few people in the comment area and come on a live stream like you that have just simply said, I don't get it. I'm struggling with this part. Actually, usually it's me, but sometimes we get somebody who'll come in and share with us that, this is where I am right now, just like you did. This is where I am right now. This is who I am and where I want to be.
What I found out, true. What I found is there's always a reason why there's a reaction to any action. There's like dig deep and you'll find exactly. And you know the answers. You never know the answers, but you need to go deep to know why you're acting that way, why you're doing that way.
Yeah, you get to a level of self-awareness.
Exactly. And it's for me, it was just true. It's very, very true. And talking about the fun, because I missed the fun, I was eating. When you were talking about the fun time, financial freedom, basically, It's the belief that you're capable. The
That's
belief.
it. That's
Yes.
what I had to struggle with. And
Exactly.
when that came about was when, because I could believe I could do it, then the decision that I made and the desire I had became more real. It became attainable. It was no longer in my mind, and words mean a lot to me. As a wordsmith, I understand the value of the word. I don't dream. It was always something, even as a youngster, when people would tell me you need to dream big. I'm like, well, that just
No.
means I went to sleep and had a great dream.
Exactly.
Trust me,
Thank
my
you.
imagination, is a lot of fun, actually. But having said that, I never could equate make your dreams come true with reality for me. That was just verbiage that did not resonate with me. It still doesn't.
I can come and kiss you right now.
Well, when people say it, I don't argue. I'm not going to argue because it's me and what works for me.
It's true. It's
I
100%
have to
true.
bring
You
it
dream, you
down
wake up.
to,
Exactly.
yeah. To me, it's I can do vision. I can do desire. That's what I love about Napoleon Hill. He puts it in words that really resonate with me. The process-oriented person here that says, "Give me something solid. Don't give me this nefarious woohooey
Exactly.
stuff that says that if I, again, we're going to go to those who take law of attraction completely out of context. They're just
Don't let me
verbalizing.
start.
Well, but again, for me, they're verbalizing that I can sit and I can have that desire and it's going to happen. I can manifest this through my own thoughts. And they're
Charlene,
taking what
it's
Napoleon
just a
Hill.
marketing word now. Law
No,
of
I get
attraction is
that.
a new marketing word.
I get that. I'm just
And
saying
people are
that
misusing it.
they got it from Napoleon Hill and others like him who spoke this kind of language that said your thoughts can transmute to reality, but there's a path in between A and B. There's a path you have to take, and so that's
Exactly.
the plan
You
that
have
has
to
to,
do the work.
right. So that's why I love this book. That's why I love what I've been reading, is that it's not the woohooey stuff. It's solid. Um, yeah, it's not a magic lamp. And as
It's not.
Chuck reminded us, what was read is that, we don't look for the miracles. Now, I can tell you now, I've had miracles happen in my life, but I wasn't looking for them. It was when I realized during or right after, okay, it's completely out of my control. We just had a miracle happen here, and thank God. But I wasn't looking for the miracles. And we can't look for the miracles when we're on the path to Think and Grow Rich. We're looking for, let's get some solid, definite things in place so that we can do the things and do the work to attain something specific. Just thoughts out there. All right, so we've got some activity happening in the comments. Welcome, Jim. Lewis, thank you for joining us. Monty, good to see you here. SJ, glad you were able to get back in. Andrea, Leonardo, good to see you here. Carlton, glad you're here. TT, I see you there. And Reverend Steve. Now, having said all this, first off, Reverend Steve, I cannot believe you woke up this early to join me. Thank you. And I'm going to be shutting this down in 5 minutes because I have to get to my networking meeting to open it up for our presenter. It's a business meeting. Yes, Chuck, waiting for the ship to come in. Oh, Small Biz Junkie. No name. All right, Small Biz Junkie. I don't think dreaming has to be woohoo stuff. You have to have a dream, and then you can turn it into a vision, into a plan, then it becomes reality. And again, I'm going to leave it to you to determine what dreaming means to you. For me, it is woohoo. I can't, it was the same thing as I'm going to go forth, I'm going to find myself. Nobody ever told me until, well, and I'm talking when up until I was well into my 20s. Somebody finally told me when I was well into my 20s, yeah, don't go out and find yourself. You're right here. You determine what you want to be. That's how my mind works. That's what works for me. So I have to be given the right words by the right messenger. when I'm ready to receive them. And still today, again, for me, when I say the word dream, it's a daydream and I can enjoy it. It is something that I do regularly to get away, to break state, to relieve a lot of stress, and I do that. And some of the things I daydream about are related to my personal favorite, which is science fiction. So, and I just sit and let the mind wander and let the imagination go, and it's wonderful. And I have intense dreams when I sleep. My dream is almost like an entertainment stress relief. My vision is very different. So my vision for the business is very different than anything that I've dreamed of.
I would call dream is a vision of reality.
Could be. But again, just explaining why I called it woohoo stuff. I don't want to denigrate anybody's view. And so what shared, and thank you, Small Biz Junkie, for sharing it. For me, my dream is to be a consultant for 500 small businesses. That then means, what is my target? How do I market it? And voila, I'm making money. So yes, definitions are all important. I think vision and dream are interchangeable. It's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Yeah, everybody has their own
SJ,
perception.
it is reality. Waiting for the ship to come in. Yeah, Chuck. I can't do it. So if I'm sitting here waiting for the ship to come in, I'm really hosed because I'm landlocked here. Ain't no ship coming by southern Indiana. Ain't going to happen. The Ohio River isn't that big. So that's the other thing we have to consider. And thoughts, behavior, habits, things of dreams. It's a shame Sean can't come in here. I'd like him to clarify that. But sometimes the ship comes in and we miss it. Well, those are opportunities, Mike. Yeah. And I think that goes back to, we had lack of indecision, the inability to make decisions. When I look back at the opportunities that were presented to me, I wasn't ready for them, and I didn't see them as opportunities. But it was also, I didn't have a clear handle on who I was and what I wanted to do, so I couldn't see them as opportunities, or I was afraid of them. Because I can tell you, I can list some that I look back and say, well, if that had happened today, holy wow, I'd be all over it, But I couldn't at the time. So I have to recognize within myself where I am at any given moment. Every decision that I have made to this point was based on information at the time and who I was. I can look back and wish it to be different, but I've already proven that I can't time travel. That's a whole nother story. But so yes, absolutely, Mike. Sometimes we miss it. Sometimes we miss it when the ship comes in. Excellent comments. Hannah-D, are you going to be able to get some sleep today?
Oh, no, I need to start cooking and getting things ready for the boys to come back home.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yep, that's
anyway,
a mom thing, and that's what happens, right?
Yeah, I know. And you know what? I'm very happy. I'm a happy mommy.
Good.
So
that's ultimately what's important.
Exactly. So I'll let you go. I know you have to go too. Love you and leave you, and hopefully we'll catch up, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Soon on Blab.
It was a pleasure
having you there again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Pleasure having you here. So quickly through the comments, we have SJ. What makes a dream difficult to comprehend is because it's the unseen, and having faith in the unseen, we are focused on intangibles versus intangibles. Good point. And Small Biz Junkie, it's very important. We must know ourselves, our goals, our passions in order to grow, either business-wise or personally. Absolutely. And one thing about this book is that by taking it in chunks like this, I continue to learn more about myself, and I'm watching others learning more about themselves. So I'm very grateful that you're joining me and that you're with me on the journey of exploration and of solidness, right? And of getting it down that this is what can happen. Sean was with me from the beginning, and a few of you were, that when we first started reading this, some of the verbiage was like, oh, really? I don't get it. I'm not quite sure I understand this. I'm not quite sure I'm ready for this. And it was wonderful to have some people share that they'd already been through it and they had techniques and tactics that I could put into place so that I could be ready and grow more, which I have, and I thank you for that. So I'm going to end this and shut this down, and then stay with me for just a moment, will you, there in the comments section. So we're going to end today, the Morning Mindset. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Chuck, for trying to join. Thank you, Hannity, for being able to get on live stream and all the comments. It's been a good way to start my day, and I appreciate you being here. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. And